So I'm Thibault. It's really a pleasure to be with all of you today. And as you now know, I am completely blind. And so you can see me, but unfortunately I can't see you and your pretty Friday morning smile. So what we're gonna do first is set things even. So what I'm gonna ask you to do is just to look around you, find someone in the room, make eye contact with that person, smile, wink, whatever. And I'm gonna ask you to please stand up.
It can't be the person next to you.
Oh yeah, if possible, at least 3 seats away from you. Yeah, that'd be too easy. All right, now I'm gonna ask you to close your eyes. All right, take a big, deep breath. And now you have, let's say, 90 seconds, a minute and a half, to reach that person you made eye contact with. So enjoy.
We will be here to...
Go find that person. Keep your eyes closed. Keep your eyes closed.
You gotta keep your eyes closed.
Go find them. Don't make contact with them. Keep your eyes closed.
I was looking at...
You should be moving.
Go for it, Gerald.
All right, 15 seconds left. All right, so that's it. You can open your eyes now and get back to your seats. So you just had a little glimpse of how it feels to be blind. So it's pretty much how I see 24/7. So like if you had your eyes closed. And yeah, so you can imagine there's some scary part. There's some quite exciting part as well. But I always like to start every presentation with that little story. And that was a bunch of years ago. I was just graduating from university. So you can imagine party and enjoying the good time. And we're coming back with a friend from a house party. And we're both, let's be honest, really drunk. And myself pretty much to the point where I can see again, that's never a good sign. And walking on the sidewalk, everything was well, when suddenly, boom, crashed into a tree. My friend started laughing, and she's just starting to say, hey, look, come on, what is it, you're blind or what, open your eyes? And I looked at her with that, drunk, philosophical kind of tone. I just told her, being blind is not about not being able to see, it's about seeing further than you thought possible. Now, it is cheesy, and it does sound like the cliche punchline you would hear out of a bad Hollywood movie, but it is also quite true. And for me, what I need as a core values for this punchline to be true is resilience, adaptation, support from your surrounding, communication, and trust. So there is 5 of them. So if we look at the first 2, we got resilience and adaptation. Now resilience is the ability to accept whatever situation you find yourself in so that you can adapt accordingly. So I lost my sight not because I wasn't born blind. I lost my sight because of a cancer. That first struck my left eye when I was 2. And it was so severe they had to take the eye off. 3 years later, the exact same cancer went into my right eye. And that was the beginning of a long fight, 9-year fight. And I say fight because the doctors tried everything to save my eye, save my sight. And when I say everything, it means really everything. I went through chemotherapies, proton therapies, where they literally bomb the tumor with proton particles, cryotherapy, where they freeze the tumor to minus way too much degrees, and some radioactive plate that were put right in my eyes. So on it all, it was about 85 medical operations. So out of 9 years, 85 operations, we do the math, we're getting close to 1 treatment a month. That was quite intense. And that's what I mean by resilience and adaptation. Because I could have cried as much as I wanted to. The cancer was here to stay. And there was nothing I could do about it. nor could my parents, my brother and my sister. So we, as a family, had to accept the situation, accept that I had these treatments pretty much once a month, but until then, we should live our life just as normal as possible, just adapt so that we could live our lives as normal as possible. And that's what we did. We traveled around the world as much as possible. I've seen quite a lot of beautiful places, beautiful countries, beautiful cultures, until 2006, January 2006. Again, the tumor was so severe, the cancer was so severe that the doctor had to take the second eye off. I became blind, so that was January 23rd, 2006. Again, I could have cried as much as I wanted to, and I did. But at some point, it's not going to bring your eyesight back. So, again, accept the situation. I'm blind, I have to go on with my life, and I have to adapt. And here, adaptation means a few things. It meant that I had to learn how to move around the apartment, how to move around the city, how to use a computer with a computer voice program, learn Braille, learn how to interact with people all over again. Basically, just learn how to live all over again. And the challenge is that I had 8 months to do so. Because in September 2006, the idea is that I would start again school. So 8 months to learn all that. And I think I was able to get most of the bases done, actually. Could I have done that alone? Never. And that's where it gets to my third core value, which is support from your surrounding. I could have never done all that without the support from my family, my friends, and especially for the step that followed, which is the international school. Start studies as a blind student. When I got blind, the first thought that went through my parents' mind was that I had to speak English. The idea is that in North America, UK, universities are a lot more adapted for blind students. So I had to learn English so that I could go abroad and do university study over there. And the best option, the best alternative was the international school at this time. So I said, okay, why not? I was 14, so I didn't have much to say anyway. But the point is, that's where I met, I think, my first real career as a blind person, because some of the staff at the international school started to say, well, there's no way a blind person can do the IB, International Baccalaureate. Just no way. So it was the beginning of long negotiations. At the end came with threats, and suddenly I got accepted. But with one, let's say, not spoken condition. If things wouldn't go well after my first year, I would be out. And that's where the support got crucial. Because imagine, I had to face this new challenge. I had to put in place everything that I've learned in the past 8 months into a school environment. I had to learn English that I couldn't speak at the time. And on top of all that, I knew I had the pressure that if things wouldn't go well after the first year, I'd be out. And that would be the end of the story, really. So support was crucial. My family, first my parents, my brother, sister, they just supported me. That was crazy. Even when people started to say, look, he's not gonna make it, that's just, we should stop. Because I got massive headaches because of work overload. I think a couple of times I was even close to a huge burnout, but I kept on going because people kept pushing me. I had the school gave me an assistant as well with whom I dealt with quite a relation, so we got a routine established. And before I knew it was June 2011. Just passed my IB exam, got my IB, and I got accepted to McGill University. So that was really the first huge, I would say, accomplishment of my life as a blind person. And I was able to do so because of the support that I had. And now you can imagine, summer 2011, I was super happy, everything was beautiful, beautiful puppies, rainbows and sunshines, everything was just incredible. I got accepted to McGill, I was preparing my departure to Montreal, and that's why I learned my fourth core value. More than learn, I was able to put a name on that fourth core value, which is communication. Because I got at McGill, and I'm pretty sure you all had this moment in your life when you took a decision and you're super excited, then you get to the place and you're like, what the hell was I thinking? That's pretty much what I had when I got to Montreal. Everything was a new city that I didn't know at all, and I realized that the closest family was an ocean away from me. So this time I was really, in a way, on my own. But the first semester went well. Passed all my courses, so I didn't think much of it. just like, look, okay, it's gonna be fine. There's the office for students with disabilities who's in charge of adapting all course materials that it's accessible. Yeah, just no big deal. That was until the end of my second semester where I was failing 2 classes out of 4. And I was failing them because I didn't communicate enough. And that's when the OSD started to think maybe business management is not the best faculty for me. They never had any blind students in this faculty, so they didn't know how to manage it. And I got quite pissed at this time. It was a big bomb in my face because that was the exact things I wanted to avoid by coming to Montreal, where it was supposed to be a lot more adapted. But fortunately for me, professors were on my side. So talked to them and they said, okay, look, we want you to do your business, get your business degree, but you're gonna have to communicate. You're gonna have to ask for help. And that was probably the most humbling lesson of my life because until then, I always thought that asking for help was a sign of failure. And so I started to talk to my professors, report back to the OSD, and get a routine again established. And after that, that second semester, my first year, I didn't really fail any other classes. There were some that I finished better than others, but didn't fail anything after. And in 2015, after just 4 years, like most of the students, most of my friends actually, I got my business degree out of McGill, and that was really, again, beautiful time. Couldn't be happier. That was the second huge achievement in my life, and that was, for me, it was hell of a one because, as I said, totally unknown city, no family around, so I had to do things on my own, and it was great. I had to ask for help, but this time I really had to look for it, which is something I wasn't used to. And after that, summer 2015, go back to Geneva to start something totally different, something I could have never imagined where it took me where I am today. Alpine skiing competition, with one goal in mind, the Paralympic Games. At first I was aiming 2018, but I had a very CV approach of that thing. I was just out of business faculty, so I was just thinking, yeah, 2018, I do the Paralympics, and then I moved to something else. I had no idea what I was talking about. I had no idea what the Paralympics were. So basically, I had no idea. and so I started training and everything. And just to give you a little insight of how it works to ski as a blind person. So obviously, you don't do it alone. You have a guide, all right? It's pretty, well, not recommended to do it on your own. You can always follow your instinct, but at some point, yeah. So you have a guide, and my guide's in front of me. She has a loudspeaker on her back. She has a mic attached to her helmet, and she yells the instructions. And my job is to follow those instructions and to, well, follow the sounds and execute the instructions. Now, if you think back at the activity we just did at the beginning, we were on foot, and you had your eyes closed. It's not really the most reassuring thing just to walk on a totally unknown area. Now you have to imagine that your only indication is a sound. There is speed, because you're on skis. There's the wind, which makes the sounds pretty hard to hear. And you know full well that if you make a mistake, things can go wrong quite fast. So it's a lot of adrenaline, a lot of stress at some point, but it's also an incredible feeling to just feel alive. It's amazing. And I have to say, actually, I was able to ski when I could see, when I was visually impaired, and when I was now as a blind. And really the best is to ski as a blind person, definitely. Even though you don't see the nice view and everything, but you still can imagine that. So imagine 2 people, that's where trust plays an incredible issue. Now skiing is not an individual sport anymore, it becomes a team effort. So trust is the key. I gotta trust myself, my guide has to trust herself, she needs to trust me, I need to trust her, and we both need to trust the tandem as a whole. 5 different cycles of trust. If one of them doesn't work, the tandem cannot work, or at least cannot work at its full potential. So everything depends on that. It takes time, it takes an incredible amount of work to reach that level where all cycles are going well. But once it does, again, it's just amazing. You get through the races, you have incredible feeling, you feel alive, and you see performance so it makes you happy. And if you think back of all those 5 core values that I mentioned, so resilience, adaptation, support, communication, and trust, it's exactly the same idea. You have 5 cycles, they all so interlink that if one doesn't work, the rest doesn't work. You cannot trust someone if you don't communicate, if you don't support each other, and if you don't accept there are sometimes problems that you can adapt accordingly. So it's exactly the same idea. And that's, I think, what I want you to take out of this presentation. To read that this cycle is just never ending. There's no end. It just keeps on going, keeps on going, keeps on going. And whenever there's an end, it just means there's a new beginning. And if I look at my story, what I was thinking when I had the cancer is that if one day I would become blind, that would be the end of the end. And that would mean that I would be now handicapped. I mean, pretty much life is over, literally. And when it actually came, I came to realize 2 things when I think about what happened since. First, that being blind just became part of my story, but that's it, doesn't define me. And second, becoming blind turned out to be one of the most beautiful things that ever happened to me because it marked the end of one thing, and that was the end of cancer. So couldn't be happier. So, and before we get to the question, I just want to do one last activity with you. So don't worry, you're not going to have to move around. Just stay seated. But I want you to close your eyes and think now. Just think about your life, the different experiences you had, good or bad, doesn't matter. And what did help you to get through those experiences? What were your core values? What were the elements that helped you get through those experiences? And I really want you to think about that. Don't have to come with your core values today because it's something that takes time. Maybe you already have them. Maybe you don't know how to name them. Maybe you don't think you have some for now. But what I strongly recommend you to do is whenever you have time, like 20, 30 minutes, about an hour, just take that time just to sit, close your eyes, and think about that. And really recommend you as well to close your eyes because once you have your eyes closed, there is no sight. Sight does not play a role there. It's just your vision. And you don't need sight to have a vision. And once you have those core values, once you have that vision, you just need to trust it. Thank you very much.